The railway to Wick and Thurso is Britain's farthest north by some considerable margin. It runs for 161 miles from the Highland capital to the old county town of Caithness. Adjacent to Platform 5 at Inverness Station is the modern signalling centre. The Inverness area is controlled by conventional colour lights, whilst alongside a second signalman is responsible for the Far North and Kyle of Lochaush lines, controlled by radio.
2258, hold and receive for the Dingwall Invergordon token. Over.
The radio signalling, or RETB, was first introduced from Dingwall to Kyle in October 1984. It followed on the North Line a year later and was extended to Inverness in August 1988. The Kyle of Lochaush line diverges to the left. It opened to Stromeferry in August 1870, and incidentally to Kyle in 1897. This section of the Far North Line had opened 7 years earlier in March 1863, as far as Invergordon. The final stride to the north was made by the Sutherland and Caithness Railway. Again, the Duke of Sutherland featured prominently. He was the chief promoter and major shareholder, the Highland Railway having the second largest shareholding. Here, the single-track road heading north parts company from our single-track railway heading northeast, as we set off towards the boundary between Sutherland and Caithness, the County March. Every so often, we pass the ruins of an isolated cottage beside the track. These were provided for the men who maintained the line far from civilization. Life here was always entirely dependent on the trains. The station building is used by train crews on layovers. On one or two diagrams, this amounts to a few hours. Now the four-car Sprinter is split into two halves, one for Wick and one for Thurso. We're taking the Thurso portion, which will reverse out of the junction. The recently refurbished building of local sandstone dates right back to the line's inauguration in 1874. There were three intermediate stations on the Wick line: Bower, just here 2 3/4 miles from Georgemas, Wotton and Bilston. All three were closed on the same day as the 17 other stations on the Far North line, back on June the 13th, 1960.